The next example that we have here with us, students, I'll just read out the sentence. She said, I was not laughing. I repeat, she said, I was not laughing. Come on, which is the reporting verb? It is said. Said is the reporting verb. Are we? What is the tense of the reporting verb? Obviously, it is in the past tense. Now, what is the sentence that is given to us in the direct speech? It says, I was not laughing. Now, again, this particular sentence also has the auxiliary verb and the main verb. Which is the auxiliary verb, students? It is was. Was is the auxiliary verb. AUX, and I have just put a full stop. Auxiliary verb. What is the tense of this auxiliary verb, students? It is in the past tense. Then, which is the main verb, students? It is laughing. Why do I call laughing as the main verb, students? Because it indicates action or it denotes action. Verb ಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ? ಕ್ರಿಯಾಪದ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಕ್ರಿಯಾಪದ ಅಂದರೆ ಏನು? ನೀವು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲ್ತಿರಬಹುದು ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಕ್ರಿಯೆಯನ್ನು ಸೂಚಿಸುವ ಪದಕ್ಕೆ ಕ್ರಿಯಾಪದ ಎನ್ನುತ್ತೇವೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ಕ್ರಿಯೆ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ? ಇಲ್ಲೂ ನಗೋದು. ಲಾಫಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ನಗುವುದು. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಲಾಫಿಂಗ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ing added to it. So what does that indicate? Continuous. So what is the tense of the whole sentence that is given to us, students? It is in past continuous tense. Okay, so shall we now change this into indirect speech or the reported speech? Okay, she said that. She said that. Now, I, can you have it as I alone? No, I will definitely change to some other pronoun. What do you think I is going to change into? I is a reference to she. So, you will write, instead of I, you will write the word she. She said that she. Now, it is already in the past tense. So, if it is already in the past tense, it has to change to past perfect, right? So, which is the word which indicates past perfect? Had. So, instead of was, you will write the word had. She said that she had not been. B-E-E-N. She said that she had not been laughing. Full stop. So, how have you changed it into indirect or reported speech? She said that she had not been laughing. Now, there are two changes that we have made while we have changed from direct to indirect. Which are the two changes that we have made? I has been changed to she. Was, which is already in the past tense, must and should change to had, which is past perfect. Okay, so the two changes that we have made is I changing to she and was changing to had, because was is past tense, and if the sentence is already in the past tense, it has to change to past perfect. So, I have used the word had here. I am just enclosing this within the rectangular box because I want you to focus your attention on the fact that was has been replaced by had, because this is in the past tense. If it is already in the past tense, it has to change to past perfect, and laughing has ing. So, from the past continuous, it changes to past perfect continuous. So, what is the answer? As you can see, she said that she had not been laughing. Shall we go on to the next example? The next example that we have here with us is, she said she had visited a doctor. I repeat, she said she had visited a doctor. Now, the reporting verb is said. The reporting verb said indicates past tense. Now, what is the sentence that has been given to us within the inverted commas? We have open inverted commas and we have the close inverted commas. She had visited a doctor. Now, again, this particular sentence has an auxiliary verb as well as the main verb. Which is the auxiliary verb here? Had is the auxiliary verb. Yes. And what is the tense of this auxiliary verb? It is past perfect. Now, which is the main verb, students? Obviously, visited. Visited is the main verb. Now, visited ends with the letters ed. So, if the verb ends with the letters ed, what does it indicate? That it is in the past tense. So, what is the tense of the sentence, she had visited a doctor? It is in past perfect tense. Now, if the sentence that is given to us is already in the past perfect, the tense will not undergo any change. You need to retain it in the past perfect itself. Did you all understand, students? If the sentence that is given to us, what is the sentence given here, students? She had visited a doctor. Had is the auxiliary verb and had indicates past perfect. Visited is the main verb and this visited ends with the letters ed, indicating again that it is in the past tense. So, the whole sentence that is being given to us is in the past perfect. So, when you change it from direct to indirect, the tense will not undergo any change. It still remains in the past perfect itself. So, the answer therefore would be, she said that she had visited a doctor. That is all. Only thing is, you will just remove the open inverted commas, remove the close inverted commas, and you're going to end the sentence with a full stop. How easy it is if your teachers were to give you these kind of sentences, right? Where you don't have to make any changes and you just have to remove the open inverted commas and the close inverted commas and just put a full stop. Life cannot be that easy, right? Life is both joy and sorrow. So, where English grammar is concerned, you will have simple exercises. You will also have tough exercises. When will you know the value of simple exercises? Only when you get tough exercises, you will know how important it is to have simple exercises, making your work as simple as possible. Okay, so I repeat for the last time this particular example. Said is the reporting verb, which is in the past tense. Had is the auxiliary verb, which indicates past perfect. Visited is the main verb ending with ed, and therefore that also indicates past tense. So, the whole sentence, she had visited a doctor, is in the past perfect. So, please students, remember, if the sentence that is given within the inverted commas, if the tense is already in the past perfect, you need to retain it in the past perfect itself. Do not make any change in the tense. So, shall we write this down? Yes, she said that she had visited a doctor. Now, instead of visited, can you think of some other more appropriate word instead of visited, students? This is just out of curiosity I am asking you. No doubt you can visit a doctor, but nobody has the time to visit a doctor just to say hello, right? Yes? When do we generally visit a doctor? When we have a complaint regarding our health. So, instead of visited, we could even have the word consulted. Okay? Instead of visited, it could be replaced with the word consulted. That would be more appropriate. If you're visiting your aunt, uncle, your parents, then it is fine to say visited. But generally, we don't have the time to just drop into a clinic or drop into a hospital and say, hello doctor, how do you do? We don't have time for all that, do we? So, when do we generally visit a doctor? Only when we have a minor health issue or a major health issue. So, this visited could also be replaced with the word consulted. Supposing it is replaced with the word consulted, then instead of visited, you will be using the word consulted. Fine, students? Are you all with me? Ready? Shall we move on to the next example? The next example that we have here with us is, I said she had eaten the meal. I repeat, I said she had eaten the meal. So instead of the, let us replace it with the word her. Okay. I said she had eaten her meal. Reporting verb, yes, it is said. It is in the past tense. Now, what is the sentence that we have here with us within the inverted commas, students? It is, she had eaten her meal. I have changed the word the to her because that is more appropriate. She had eaten her meal. Now, again you have the auxiliary verb. You also have the main verb. Which is the auxiliary verb? Had. What is the tense of the auxiliary verb? Yes, it is past perfect. Now, which is the main verb here? Eaten is the main verb. The main verb is eaten. Now, if you remember, I have told you that every verb will have three forms: the present tense, the past tense and the past participle form. Now, what do you think would be the other two forms of the verb eaten? It is eat, ate, eaten. Eat is present tense, ate is past tense, A-T-E. Ate is past tense and eaten is past participle. If you want, you can make a note of that, students. Eat is present tense. Present tense andre vartamana kala. Ate is past tense. Past tense is bhuta kala. And eaten. What does eaten indicate? Past participle. P-A-R-T-I-C-I-P-L-E. So, eat is present tense, ate is past tense and eaten is past participle form. So, every verb will therefore have three forms: the present tense, the past tense and the past participle form. So, some words like eat, the past participle form changes from eat to eaten, and the past tense is eat is the present tense, past tense of eat is ate. So, what do you call such verbs as? You call them as irregular verbs. I don't know if you remember, students, I told you apart from having one classification of verbs, that is auxiliary verbs and main verbs, I also told you there's one more classification of verbs, and that is regular verbs and irregular verbs. What is a regular verb? That verb which takes ed in its past tense, you call it as regular verb. That verb which does not take ed in its past tense, you call it as the irregular verb. So, eat is an example of an irregular verb. Why is eat an example of irregular verb? Because you don't have any word in English language called eated. You cannot say eated. Eated is not the past tense. What is the past tense of eat? It is ate. So, there is a change in the spelling of the entire word, right? So, this is an example of an irregular verb. Regular verb is a verb which takes ed in its past tense, and irregular verb is a verb which cannot take ed in its past tense. When you say play, then the past tense of play is played. So, it is an example of a regular verb. When you say teach, the past tense of teach is not teached. Past tense is taught. T-A-U-G-H-T. So, teach is like the word eat. It cannot take ed in its past tense. So, they are examples of irregular verbs. Okay, now let's come back to changing this particular sentence from the direct to the indirect. What is the indirect speech also known as, students? It is known as the reported speech. Okay, so the sentence that has been given to us in the direct speech is already in the past perfect. So, if it is already in the past perfect, it will retain in the past perfect itself. It is going to be retained in the past perfect when you change it from direct to indirect. So, let's go about writing the sentence in the indirect speech. I said. See, I. It is no doubt the beginning of the letter. At the same time, I also told you, whenever you write only I, whether it is in the beginning of the sentence, whether it is in the middle of the sentence, or whether it is at the very end of the sentence, I must be written in capital letter. I repeat, I should always be written in capital letter when it is either placed in the beginning of the sentence or placed somewhere in the middle of the sentence, or if it is positioned in the very end of the sentence, wherever I is, only the letter I, you have to write it in capital letter. Okay, so I said that she had eaten her meal. And I put a full stop. I told you this full stop should be put because there's no other punctuation mark that you're going to use in the indirect speech. I said that she had eaten her meal. That meal could be a reference to the breakfast, it could be a reference to lunch, or it could be a reference to dinner. Because you say we have 3 square meals a day. 3 square meals a day. Which are those 3 square meals that you have in a day? The first meal that you have in the day is breakfast. The second meal that you have is lunch. And the very last meal that you have is dinner. So, this meal could either be breakfast, or it could be lunch, or it could be dinner. Right? So, now we'll move on to the next example, students. The next sentence that we have here is, they said to me, we will send you gifts. I repeat, they said to me, we will send you gifts. Now, said is the reporting verb, which is in the past tense. Now, the sentence that is given within the inverted commas is, we will send you gifts. Now, will should be changed to would. Now, will change to would, shall will change to should, can will change to could, may will change to might. These are the changes that you have to remember when you are changing the sentence from the direct to the indirect. If you want, you can make a note of it, students. I'll write it for you. The other changes that we have to make is, other changes that need to be made are, okay, if you have the word may changes to might, M-I-G-H-T. If there is a word called can will change to could. If you have the word will change to would. If you have the word shall will change to should. I repeat, if the word may appears in the direct speech, that changes to might. What's the spelling of might? M-I-G-H-T. Can will change to could. Will change to would. Shall will change to should. And if you have the word must also will change to had to. I repeat, so other changes that need to be made while changing the sentences from the direct to the indirect speech are may changing to might, can will change to could, will change to would, shall will change to should, and must should change to had to. So we'll go back to the sentence that we have and we'll just change that from direct to indirect. So coming back to the example that we have here with us, they said to me, we will send you gifts. So we have already discussed that said is the reporting verb which is in the past tense and will should change to would. And the whole sentence, how are you going to write this in the indirect speech, children? You are going to write it this way. They said to me that. Now, we is the pronoun. We have already discussed what a pronoun is. Pronoun ends with the word noun. So that means it is a word which is used instead of a noun. It is a word which represents the noun. It is a word that stands for a noun. Okay, so we will also be a reference to this word they. So when you change it from the direct to the indirect speech, you will not write it as we, you will write it as they. They said to me that they. Now I have already mentioned that will change to would. So they would send. Now you, I want you to focus your attention on this pronoun you. You is a reference to the word me. So how are you going to change this? You will be writing it as they said to me that they would send me gifts. Did you understand why I have changed the pronoun, students? We is a reference to they and you is a reference to me, and therefore you will be changed to me and we will be changed to they. So they said to me that they would send me gifts. Do you all love to receive gifts? Yes? Do you all love to give gifts? You should love to give gifts as well as love to receive gifts. You should receive at the same time give. Okay? So it is an art actually, students. Receiving gifts is an art. You must make the person feel that you are happy to receive that gift no matter how small the gift is. It is not the gift which is important. It is the feeling behind giving the gift which is important. So do not value the gift in terms of money. Value the gift in terms of the feelings that has made the person give you the gift. So have a smile on your face, receive the gift, and the giver should feel highly pleased that you are happy with the gift that you have got. So give gifts and receive gifts also. Please take some pleasure in giving gifts to others. Let us not be selfish in only receiving gifts. Let us also give gifts to others. Now we'll move on to the next example. The next example reads, I said to him, I will be waiting for him. I repeat, I said to him, I will be waiting for him. So the reporting verb is said. What is the tense? It is in the past tense. Now I want you to concentrate on the sentence that is put within the inverted commas. What is the sentence that is put within the inverted commas? I will be waiting for him. Now you have again the auxiliary verb. You also have the main verb. Now you have to be very quick in answering which is the auxiliary verb. Pat must come the reply. Auxiliary verb is will. Okay, and it indicates future time. And waiting is the main verb, right? Waiting is the main verb. And waiting, as you can see, ends with the letters ing. So it is in the continuous tense. So what is the tense of the sentence given to us? It is in the future continuous tense. So now we'll go about changing this particular sentence into the indirect or the reported speech. So I said to him, again look, I have written I, the letter I in capital. Not only because it is in the beginning of the sentence, but the word I itself, the letter I itself has to always be written in capital letter. So I said to him, that I would be waiting for him. I said to him that I would be waiting for him. So will changes to would. So I said to him that I would be waiting for him is the way you're going to change this particular sentence from the direct to the indirect. Now see what is given within the brackets. Will be. Shall we put this within inverted commas? Will be changes to would be. Here also will be changes into would be. So whenever you have the modal verbs like can, it should change to could, shall will change to should, will change to would, may will change to might. And you have already made a note of it some time back. Shall we move on to the next example, students? The next example that we have here is, she said they will have passed the examination. I repeat, she said they will have passed the examination. So which is the reporting verb? Said. Said is the reporting verb which is in the past tense. Now what is the sentence that is enclosed within the inverted commas which indicates that it is in the direct speech? They will have passed the examination. Now will indicates future time. When I say I will meet you tomorrow, students, tomorrow also indicates future time, will also indicates future time. Okay, so have, you have the word have. Have is present perfect, right? But here, since you already have the auxiliary verb will, which indicates future time, have will only be called as the perfect tense, right? If you did not have the word will, then have would indicate present perfect. Since the word will is already here in the sentence and it indicates future time, what are you going to have as? It is only going to be considered as a perfect tense. So have is the perfect tense. So the entire sentence that we have here with us, they will have passed the examination, is in the future perfect tense. Since the reporting verb is already in the past tense, this will change into past perfect. The will change into would. Would indicates past tense. Have indicates present tense. So from the future perfect tense, you will be changing it into past perfect tense. So how are you going to write this? Therefore, she said that they would have passed the examination. I repeat, she said that they would have passed the examination. And just a full stop. Please do not put any other punctuation marks, students. Please bear that in mind, because if you change it appropriately into the indirect speech but forget to remove the open inverted commas and the close inverted commas, you are breaking the rules of changing it from direct to indirect. Always bear in mind, students, that the only punctuation mark that you are supposed to use in the indirect speech is full stop. Do not make use of open inverted commas, close inverted commas, question mark, exclamatory mark. None of these punctuation marks have to be used when you are changing from direct to indirect speech. That you should always remember, right? Shall we move on to the next example, students?